Many veterans are eligible for valuable pension benefits through the Veterans Administration's Aid and Attendance Program. The process for securing these benefits can be complex, leaving many veterans without the benefits to which they are entitled. Tony Roberts belongs to the American Association of Wartime Veterans, a group whose mission is to educate veterans and their loved ones who may be eligible for certain benefits. Tony's my guest on the Aging with Options show. Thank you for tuning into the program. We've been covering the Aid and Attendance benefit that is available for many of our senior veterans, and Tony has given us some very useful advice about how that process plays out and some of the eligibility requirements and the monetary benefits. And Tony, your group, your agency, A. Roberts and Associates, as we've been talking about, assists senior veterans with that process. And we touched on that a little bit, the paperwork that your group begins to gather for veterans when they come into your office, and then a little bit more about how that process plays out. What impact would you say that your agency becoming involved has on the total time frame for this process to play out for veterans?
Well, again, Chris, what we do is many times the first time that I meet these families is in my seminars, and then from that standpoint, if they receive information in the seminar they feel like is essential to them about looking into this for their for maybe mom or dad or for themselves, then they'll call and make an appointment. Start gathering documents, the discharge paperwork, marriage certificates, divorce decrees that may be out there, death certificates, and they come into the office. First meeting with me is probably going to take 35 or 40 minutes. From that standpoint, I can usually determine, if they are eligible for the benefits at that time, and if so, then, we start gathering signatures and additional paperwork that will enable our advocacy department to put the documents together to get into the VA. If they're not eligible at that time, then I gather the information necessary for me to start looking at a strategy for possibly getting them eligible. And then we usually have a second or third meeting on discussing those strategies. And then from there, if they're still on board and it says, hey, look, this looks good, let's go for it, then we start those processes, put them into place, and then get to the point of making the application to the VA. Last but not least, it's a retro benefit. Basically what happens is this, is when the paperwork goes into the VA, it's time and date stamped, and the first of the month after that date stamp is going to be the retro date for the benefit. It sometimes takes 4, 6, 8, 10 months to be actually approved, but when you are approved, it will be paid back to that retro date.
Okay, and so that's once it's approved. How long does the approval process usually take? Once you've completed your part of the process, send it into the VA, how long do they usually have all that paperwork in their care?
Well, the VA tells us basically after we send the paperwork in to not even contact them for 8 weeks. So that's 2 months. And again, it's I don't have an answer to that. It can be anywhere. I've had veterans be approved in as little as 7 weeks, and I've had some that have taken as much as a year. I can't really answer how and when the VA determines when somebody's approved or not.
Yeah, a little bit of an unknown then.
It is an unknown.
Once you apply. And then for veterans that are eligible and they do end up receiving the benefit, you mentioned before the range can be anywhere between $1,056 to $2,540 per month. And it's tax-free dollars as well. Is that money that they have access to and they can spend it however they want to, or do they have to demonstrate that it's being used for certain purposes?
No, it's money that is going to come directly to them, or in sometimes it comes to the they may have a power of attorney appointed. But anyway, it comes directly to the veteran or the veteran's family, and it's there for them to be able to pay for care just the same as their Social Security check that's coming in.
Right. And you said paid to the veteran or the veteran's family. Do you mean the surviving spouse?
Yes.
Are there no other options beyond that, though, in terms of either the veteran or the veteran's spouse?
That is correct.
Surviving spouse.
That's correct.
Gotcha. So we've discussed that this is the aid and attendance benefits is what we're talking about today, and many senior veterans are not aware that it exists at all, and there's a fairly complex application process that's involved with that, and certainly with many veterans not being aware of it. Can you estimate what do you think that the number of veterans that are eligible for this benefit that don't even know about it? Any idea where that falls?
Oh, I think it's probably in the millions. Mm-hmm. In my seminar, that we've got a piece that NBC News did back in 2007, and they mentioned that I think 140 some odd thousand people in 2007 were receiving the benefit, and just from census numbers. With World War II veterans and their spouses, I know that, we're probably in the millions. And for the most part, I would be willing to say 80 to 85% of those veterans would probably be eligible for the benefit if they just knew about it.
Wow, still largely unknown, but certainly of great value to folks that have served our country faithfully. We're talking about helping veterans secure valuable benefits offered through the Veterans Administration. Tony Roberts specializes in assisting veterans to navigate the complexities of this process. We'll pause for these messages and be back with Tony and more topics of interest to seniors in our Louisville area. You're listening to Aging with Options on 970 WGTK.